What is up, everybody? My name is Jacob, and this is going to be episode number 1 to my new series that I'm starting called The Beginner's Guide to Working Out. This video is going to be basically Nutrition 101. I'm going to preface this video by telling you kind of what this video will not be. So, as you can see, we have bullshit written. This video is not going to be bullshit whatsoever. This is going to be the most sustainable and most adherable way for you guys to diet, right? So what are things that are kind of bullshit in my eyes, right? Fad diets, so ketogenic diet, right? Keto, I feel like, is the new wave that everybody's kind of hopping on. They're like, oh, I lost however many pounds on keto. I don't find keto to be sustainable. Why? Because it is restrictive, right? There will be absolutely no food restriction in this video. I will not advise food restriction for you guys. Okay? And this will not be a meal plan. So all three of these things, right, tie into food restriction, which is why I personally believe that most people fail their diets, because they end up restricting all these foods and then they binge, right? And once they get into that binge mind state, they're like, fuck, I just binged, I ate however much, right? And then they're like, well, I already failed on my quote-unquote diet, their fad diet, so they're like, I might as well just keep digging myself down in a deeper hole, right? And that is why I believe that most diets fail. So what I'm going to teach you guys is the most sustainable and sustainable way to diet, basically. So with that said, let's dive deeper into this. So your body has this thing called its basal metabolic rate, BMR for the abbreviation, right? What this is essentially it's your metabolism. This is how many calories your body burns per day to sustain its life. So think of it as basically you don't want to gain any weight and you don't want to lose any weight. You just want to basically survive and stay exactly how you are, right? Just scrape by. That is what your basal metabolic rate is, okay? Now, when you start putting on fat or losing fat, that is because 1 pound of fat equates to 3,500 calories. Calories are the energy source that your body uses to fuel itself, right? So your basal metabolic rate is measured in calories. I will have linked in the description down below a BMR calculator for you guys. Things that affect your BMR are your activity level, height, age, all of those things, right? So what this BMR calculator will do is it'll take all of those things into consideration and it'll spit out a number for you guys, right? That number will be in total calories. This is an estimation. It is not 100% fact, but it's a good starting point for most people. Okay? So think about it this way, right? Say my body needs 2,500 calories to sustain life, and I eat 3,000 calories per day, right? That's 500 calories over my basal metabolic rate per day. In a week's time, those 500 calories a day over times the 7 days in a week will equate to 3,500 calories over my body's BMR or sustainability point, which will equate to 1 pound of fat, right? Because I'm inputting more calories than my body actually needs to survive, my body is going to want to store those calories in case it gets starved or for whatever reason, basically for survival purposes, right? So if I eat 500 calories per day over my basal metabolic rate, my BMR, in a week's time, I'll put on exactly 1 pound of fat, because 1 pound of fat is your body's way of storing 3,500 calories. Now, let's take your BMR, right, and set it up in a way to put you in a state of fat loss. For this example, I'm going to use a BMR of 2,500 calories. For you guys, whatever number that the BMR calculator, linked down below, like I said, whatever number that spits out for you, substitute that in here, right? So if your BMR is 2,500 calories, this is how many calories you need in a day to sustain life, right? Now, 1 pound of fat equates to 3,500 calories. So you're thinking, okay, well, 3,500 is less than I even need to eat in a day, right? So how am I going to put myself in a state of fat loss? Okay, what I advise most people is 1 pound of fat per week lost when cutting, right? So how many days are in a week? 7 days, right? So if your BMR is 2,500, you're going to need to basically eat 500 calories below your BMR in order to put yourself in that 3,500 calorie deficit in a week's time, right? So that means if you eat 500 calories less than your body needs each and every day for an entire week, in a week's time you'll have been 1 pound of fat, 3,500 calories below your BMR. So basically, your body is gonna use these 3,500 calories to make up for the 500 per day that you are not intaking with food, right? So let's take it even further, right? It's so easy just to be like, okay, well, I need to eat 2,000 calories. But what's going to happen is those calories are going to get taken in from different sources, and it's not the best for body composition, basically. So I'm going to, in this next clip, I'm going to break down basically this 2,000 calories. I'm going to break it down into a way that will give you the absolute best body composition possible, right? So let's do it. Okay, so calories are basically macronutrients, right? The three macronutrients that I'm going to be talking about in this video are carbs, fats, and proteins. 1 gram of carbohydrates equals 4 total calories. 1 gram of fat equals 9 total calories. And protein is the same as carbs, with 1 gram equating to 4 calories, right? So these three things put together in food equate to a food's total caloric value. So say something had 10 grams of carbs, that would equate to 40 calories. Something had 10 grams of fat, 90 calories. Something has 10 grams of protein, 40 calories. So these three things all combined together times the total amount in the food. So like I said, say 10 grams of carbs, 10 grams of fat, 10 grams of protein, all that added together equates to a total caloric number in the said food item that you guys would be intaking, right? So there is a ratio that you're going to want to use to set these three numbers up in a way that is going to give you the best body composition possible, make you look the best, right? Because if all your calories came from fat only, right, you're not going to look as good as if you had a better protein split and a better carb split, because your body's going to use some carbs for energy, your body's going to use some protein for its muscular repair, right? So all three of these things have to go in conjunction with each other to basically equal your best body composition. If one is neglected, your body composition isn't as optimal as it could be, right? So let's break all this down into your BMR and show you guys basically how you're going to be able to break down your carbs, fat, and protein ratios into the way to get your best body composition possible. Okay, so like I said, I'm using 2,500 calories as the BMR example, right? You guys could use whatever number the BMR calculator linked in the description gives you, right? You're going to subtract the 500 because, like I said, in a week's time, 500 per day equals 3,500 calories below your body's BMR. That equates to 1 pound of fat. So minus the 500, you're left with 2,000 total calories that you're allowed to eat per day, right? Now let's take these 2,000 calories and break them into the three macronutrients that I talked about in the last clip. So protein, right? You're going to want about 1.1 to 1.4 grams of protein per pound of body weight. This isn't a deficit, right? If you're bulking, you may not need as much protein just because the other two macronutrients would substitute and almost act in a way that would help you so you wouldn't need nearly as much protein. But we're talking for cutting purposes, you're going to want to have higher protein just because muscular sustainability, right? You don't want to burn up all your muscles, so you're going to need a lot of protein to fuel your muscles and make sure that your body holds on to its gains, right? So with fats, right? 15 to 25% of your total calories should be coming from fats, right? You don't want to dip down below 15% because then you start messing with your body's hormonal functions, and it's not a good time, right? You don't want your body like shutting down because it's not producing enough testosterone or whatever the case may be, right? 25% on the high end. You don't really want to go above that because then it's higher fat has not been shown to really benefit your body. But lower fat, like I said, shuts down hormonal functions, and then you start running into problems, right? With carbs, you're just going to fill in the gap, right? So you're gonna figure out how many grams of protein you need, how much fat you need, and then carbs, whatever's left over, that's how many grams of carbs you're going to be allowed. So let me break this 2,000 calories down for you guys and show you the low end and then show you the high end. So say somebody likes, they don't like a whole lot of protein, right? They don't like a whole lot of fat, so they're going to have higher carbs, right? But say somebody likes to eat a lot of steak. They like to eat a lot of foods that are high in protein and fat. So they're going to have a higher protein and a higher fat intake, but they're not going to have nearly as many carbs left over. So I'm going to break this all down and I'll show you guys everything, and then you guys can take your BMR minus the 500 and break it down the exact same way that I'm going to show you guys to find your macro profile. Okay, so like I said guys, there's ranges, right? 1.1 to 1.4 grams of protein. So say you don't like eating a whole lot of protein, right? You're going to take your body weight. For this example, I'm using a 200-pound individual with a BMR of 2,500 calories that it wants to lose a pound of fat per week. So 500 calories less gives them 2,000 calories that they get to work with here, right? You guys can do the exact same thing. Say your BMR is higher, you say it's lower, right? Just subtract 500. That'll give you how many calories you have to work with in a day's time, right? And then you can plug in your own body weight here, okay? So just for the example, so I can show you guys, 200-pound individual with a BMR of 2,500 calories. So they want to lose a pound of fat, so they're eating 2,000 calories per day. They don't like a whole lot of protein, right? So they're going to take 1.1 times their body weight, which is 200 pounds, which will equate to 220 grams of protein. This is how much protein they should be intaking on a daily basis, right? How many calories is that 220 grams of protein? You're going to have to multiply the number that you get here, so 220 grams, times 4, which is going to equate to 880 total calories out of this 2,000 coming from protein. If you want to do the math right for your own sake, all you would need to do is 1.1 through 1.4, whichever number you choose, times your body weight. That's going to give you how many grams of protein you should be eating per day. And then you just multiply that by 4. That's how many total calories you're going to be intaking from protein. Now with the fats, right? 15 to 25% of your total calories coming from fats. So you're going to take 0.15 through 0.25, whichever number you choose. This is very flexible, like I said. So say 15%, right? 15% times the 2,000 calories that you're intaking per day is going to give you 300 total calories coming from fats, okay? You're going to want to divide that by 9 to get how many grams of fat you should be eating, right? Because 1 gram of fat equates to 9 calories. So 300 calories divided by 9, so each gram of fat is going to give you 33 grams of fat that you're allowed to intake per day, okay? Then like I said with carbs, just whatever's left over in terms of calories, okay? So say you wanted to go everything in terms of protein and fats as low as possible so you could eat a lot of carbs, right? So you have 880 calories on the low end coming from protein and 300 calories coming from carbs on the low end, okay? You're going to add those two numbers together, which is going to give you 1,180 total calories between the protein and the fat. You're going to want to subtract your 2,000 calories you're allowed to intake per day from this 1,180, which is the protein and fats combined, which is going to give you 820 total calories that can come from carbs, okay? Then you're going to divide this number by 4 because each gram of carbs equates to 4 calories. So 820 total calories coming from carbs divided by 4 to give you how many grams of carbs you can intake, which is going to give you 205 grams of carbs per day. So, say you don't like a lot of protein, you don't like a lot of fat, so you want to maximize your carb intake. You're going to have 220 grams of protein, this 200-pound individual with a BMR of 2,500, 220 grams of protein, 33 grams of fat, and 205 grams of carbs. Now, you guys can do this on your own, right? Say your body weight's different. Plug your own body weight into this, right? Say you want different amounts of fat, right? Change it up. Whichever amount of fat you want, that's how much you can work around with this, guys. You can play around with it. It's not a set in stone thing. You can play around with it, manipulate it. As long as your total calories in a day are 500 less than your BMR, you're going to be in a fat loss state, right? This is how I set up my macros to make the transformation that I did that is in the thumbnail. Neither of those photos are photoshopped whatsoever. They're not edited. None of that, right? I will tell you guys that was over a 9-month span. So you guys are going to have to work for this, right? You're not going to be able to just overnight eat the macronutrient ranges here, or macronutrient profile here, and overnight just make a crazy difference, right? But I promise you guys, if you stay consistent and you make sure that you're losing weight over a long span of time, you're going to be able to make a transformation just as crazy as my own, right? This is the most sustainable and adherable way to lose fat, lose weight, whatever you want to say, right? Okay, so what I advise you guys doing really to track your progress is every single morning, weigh yourself first thing fasted, okay? What this is going to do is give you the most accurate weight, okay? And then over a week's time, take the average and then see if you guys have lost any weight or gained any weight. If you've gained weight, then you're clearly not in a caloric deficit. You're clearly not eating enough or less than your body's BMR, right? If you've gained weight, you're eating above your body's BMR because it's storing fat. So if you've gained weight, just take a little bit less than whichever BMR, right? So say you're eating 2,000 calories a day and still gaining weight, then obviously you need to eat less, right? So you can manipulate it, you can play around with it, guys. It's very, very flexible. This is the easiest way that I've found to diet and lose weight. So yeah, this is episode 1 to the beginner's guide. Like I said, nutrition explained, mainly for cutting. If you guys want to see a bulking video, just let me know. Type it down in the comments, whatever. Give this video a thumbs up, a like. Make sure you comment below, right? I do want to continue this series, just spread real information for you guys, teach you guys the best way to do everything in terms of lifting. And yeah, so yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Me and a couple buddies, we're taking a trip down to Alpha Elite, Christian Guzman's gym. I'm going to film a whole day in the life for you guys, so be on the lookout for that. I'll see you then. Peace.